What is going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and so it is day 7 of training camp with day 6 of their on-field work. It was their first padded practice, and so let's actually just get right into it. As I've mentioned, I really I'm limited into the access, of sources that I can glean from. So I'm just going with Alan Poupar's, perspective. He writes for Sports Illustrated, Dolphins. Obviously, you guys know that. And so let's get right into it. I do want to, because I have 2 of his articles that I want to read, the highlights and lowlights and whatnot from camp, and also one on Benardrick McKinney, because Benardrick McKinney had a big day. So McKinney makes his move. New Dolphins linebacker Benardrick McKinney stood out at the team's first practice in pads of training camp. Benardrick McKinney took part in his first practice in pads Tuesday since last October, and to say it was a rousing success for the inside linebacker would not be an exaggeration. In one shot, McKinney proved to himself he's completely over the shoulder injury that cut short his 2020 season with the Houston Texans, and in another, he provided a glimpse of what he could do for the Miami Dolphins defense in 2021. Now, let's be fair. They are in pads, but they're still not exactly hitting at like full speed, full capacity, because they're not trying to kill their teammates, right? So it is obviously a lot more engaging, let's say, with the pads on, and they do thump a little bit, but obviously not at full strength. Hopefully he's past, I just say that because hopefully he's past the shoulder injury, but he does play one of those positions where, a shoulder injury could be a recurring thing. Anyway, but let's hope he stays healthy, especially because we've already had too many injuries to this point in camp. With the pads coming on for the first time in camp Tuesday, there was an emphasis on the running game in 11-11 drills, and McKinney stood out as the most dominant player on this day. Real quick, too, I want to mention that the offensive line got dominated. It was a defensive-dominated day. It looks like our run defense might be better, but just based on the first day of pads, it doesn't look so good for the run game on offense. So, and look, I'll also just mention this real fast. As I've been saying now for some time, my biggest concerns are 1, injuries/COVID, 2, the offensive line, and 3, the defensive backs without Xavier Howard there, in particular, but also, even after Byron Jones. So, and the defensive back struggled a bit today, even though it was a pretty defensive heavy day. So, anyway, let's move on. Let's see. He routinely was around the ball and found himself in the offensive backfield on a couple of occasions. This had been McKinney's calling card since he entered the NFL as a second-round pick out of Mississippi State in the 2015 draft, and what got him to the Pro Bowl at the conclusion of the 2018 season. McKinney likely will start alongside Jerome Baker in the Dolphins defense, regardless of whether the Dolphins have 3 or 4 linebackers on the field. That was the expectation after Miami acquired McKinney from Houston in the offseason for edge defender Shaq Lawson, which at least to this point, it looks like that will be an upgrade overall. But we'll see. We still have to wait and see how, McKinney performs throughout the season. Obviously, Shaq Lawson wasn't all that impactful, although him and I think it was Lawson and Agba did make up, a quarter together, did make up a quarter of our pressures last year. So they did lose, a portion of that by not having Shaq Lawson. But let's see how McKinney does. Let's see. In a trade that involved a swap of late-round picks favoring the Texans. This is somewhat of a prove-it season for McKinney after the shoulder injury, and maybe that became more evident when the Dolphins restructured his contract, which I think was a terrible restructuring, because if he does, to be fair, if he got injured, then it could be, good for the Dolphins, because then he would become a free agent, and they wouldn't be on the books for him if he gets injured. If he doesn't get injured, or obviously if he plays like shit as well. So to be fair, it could be good for the Dolphins if one of those cases happens, but it could be shit for the Dolphins if he turns out to be what you want and to really help you improve that run game on defense, which is going to be huge this season in particular. If you want to, one, improve on a weakness from last year's defense, and also, hopefully lessen the blow of losing Xavier Howard if he's not playing, right? So, yeah, it's going to be a big deal. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Nothing's in stone, but so far, day one of pads, it's looking good for McKinney, and hopefully that run defense. Maybe not so much the run game on offense, the run offense, but we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I don't get my emotions. I do not get my emotions into it until the games actually start to count, right? From now until the season starts, until game one of the regular season, I'm just evaluating. I'm just accumulating data and putting it all together, so that way when the season starts, I know what I have to be, concerned with, and what to look out for, and, so on and so forth. So, yeah, let's see. A polite way of saying they forced him to take a pay cut and eliminate the final 2 years of the extension he signed in 2018, or risk getting cut with no guaranteed money left on the deal. We'll see, and that just goes to show you, though, how, because that, he's talking from the Dolphins' perspective, right, is essentially what they did, right? A polite way of forcing him to take a pay cut and eliminate the final 2 years of his extension he signed in 2018, or risk getting cut with no guaranteed money left on the deal, right? And I say that because, we have this contract situation going on with Howard, and they do this shit all the time. That's why I will never agree with anybody that sides with the organization, ever. But especially in this situation, because the Dolphins have 100% been the asshole and just refused to come to the table or accept any win-win scenarios, and all they've offered is bullshit back to them, right? To this point. So, and Xavier Howard's the one that's been the upstanding guy and trying to get the win-wins. So, I will never agree with anybody that says, the organization is right, or I will never even agree with anybody that says they even have an argument. Like, they're 100% wrong. So that's how I feel about it. And it is what it is. The first practice in pads certainly was a step in the right direction, with McKinney showing he's more than willing to throw his big frame 6'4", 257 into the fray. But see, that's why I say, though, and look at Rashad Jones as an example, right? He's one of those in-the-box kind of safeties that was really good at helping out in the run game, but he had recurring shoulder injuries. So, we do have to wait and see. And look, I do get it, right? Don't get me wrong. I do get it that if he were to get injured for, which is a reasonable possibility, then, the Dolphins can't get completely screwed, right? So I do get having, the contingencies, but the way that these organizations go about it, and the Dolphins have proved to be no exception, they're just super fucking cutthroat. There's no loyalty. There's no fucking, there's no, they haven't even bargained with him. Anyway, whatever, it is what it is. So let me not get on a tangent. The Dolphins are looking to improve their run defense. They're just scumbags about it. That's what it is they're just fucking super slimy all the time. And they just don't really give a fuck about the players, because all the players are just fucking expendable assets. As long as you can do something for me, we'll keep you around, right? Whatever. And it's like, nah, I'm sorry. It's super scummy. The Dolphins are looking to improve their run defense in 2021, and they'll need contributions from all over the roster to get that done. McKinney, without question, should be front and center in that quest. Yes, it was only one practice, but the Dolphins and their fans had to be thrilled by what they saw from McKinney Tuesday. And that's true, and I am. And again, hopefully that does improve the run defense. But if the back end, our corners, because, if Xavier Howard doesn't play there, I think our secondary is going to get really exposed. And so will they be able to offset that, right? And that'll be the thing. Now, hopefully, I still think it's a 90+% that Howard does not play for the Dolphins this season. But, I still reserve a slim hope that, up to 10% possibility hope that, they can, because I really have concerns over that secondary if and when Xavier Howard is not there to play with us. And to this part, I mean, he didn't practice today, so anyway, let's get into the highlights, lowlights, and anecdotes from the Miami Dolphins practice, as per Alain Poupart. Elaine, I think it's Elaine Poupart. Anyway, I can't, no, I think it's Alan. I think it's pronounced Alan. Anyway, highlights, lowlights, and observations for the sixth. He accidentally put an F in there when he was trying to type the T, which is interesting. So it says sixth. Anyway, for the sixth practice, day 7 of Miami Dolphins training camp. The Dolphins practice in pads for the first time. After making his training camp practice Monday, wide receiver Devontae Parker was among those missing Tuesday. So he did practice yesterday, but did not practice today. So again, you know, missing one of those top receivers. Again, and just to reiterate, my big 3 concerns are the injury / COVID. None of the COVID guys practiced, right? That's number 1. Number 2 is the offensive line. Number 3 is that secondary without Howard. Let's see. He was joined on the list of missing players by Will Fuller, who again didn't practice. Jalen Phillips did not practice again today, and cornerback Jamal Perry. Running back Salvon Ahmed was at practice after being injured Monday, but wearing a red non-contact jersey. So he does have some kind of an injury. It doesn't appear to be overly serious, but, you know, they have to be really ginger with him and just, you know, stay the fuck away from him, is basically what that red jersey means. So don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. Treat him like a quarterback, right? Wide receiver Albert Wilson practiced on a limited basis. Hopefully that's nothing. You know, hopefully they're just resting him after, you know, kicking ass for the whole first bit of camp. So we shall see. Because that would not be good if, you know, just to the other side of that, just to real quick throw it out there. If Albert Wilson were to get injured, I mean, we already have way too many injuries. That would not be good, right? So yeah. And that's part of the reason why I don't like Waddle being back for punts and kickoffs. I don't want him returning, and it just bothers me, and knock on wood or whatever, but like I don't want to see him get hurt, you know, on special teams. So yeah, the Dolphins signed tight end. They officially announced signing the tight end, that third tight end that I had told you about yesterday. Excuse me, Gabe Holmes on Tuesday morning and practiced with the team for the first time. Jalen Waddle dropped a pass in the back of the end zone from Tua on a one-on-one goal line drill. Okay. On the first play of an 11-11 running period, Benardrick McKinney shot through the line and met Myles Gaskin in the backfield on a running play. Tight end Durham Smythe was called for a false start. Malcolm Brown had a nice hole up the middle on a running play. McKinney continued to be a constant presence near the ball all day. Jakeem Grant, Noah Igbenogany, and Jalen Waddle took turns returning kickoffs. Jacoby Brissett hit Isaiah Ford near the sideline after rolling out. Quarterback Nick Needham came up with a nice stick on a running play, and McKinney again was right there with him. Sam McGuavin, who will have to fight to keep his roster spot, came up with a great play when he shot through the line to get to Patrick Laird. Jamal Perry dropped an easy interception after Crevon LeBlanc tipped a pass from Jacoby Brissett. On the first play on 11-11 session starting at the offense's 1 yard line, Robert Hunt committed a false start. On second down, Tua threw a 7-yard pass to tight end Durham Smythe, wide open in the flat. On third down, Emmanuel Ogbah got pressure for what likely would have been a sack and a safety. Andrew Van Ginkel walked inside the practice facility accompanied by a trainer, appeared to be limping a bit. That's not good. We cannot have Andrew Van Ginkel. That's why I'm telling you, man, like, these injuries need to slow the fuck down and stop. I understand that a lot of them are minor, but minor can become major at some point, and it's way too early to start getting the injury bug, bro. We are in training camp. They just put the pads on for the first time, and we already have way too many guys injured or on COVID. It's not good. It needs to stop. But what do you do? What do you do, right? Like, so I just, you know, again, one more time, injuries, COVID, number 1, offensive line, number 2, secondary without Howard, number 3. On a 3rd and 8 from the 3-yard line, Brissett had a 32-yard completion to Allen Hurns over Jamal Perry. Hurns is fighting the odds to make the roster, so that nice acrobatic catch is the kind of play he needs to continue making. Kirk Merritt got behind Trill Williams on a 3rd and 8 and dove to catch a long pass from Sinnett. Christian Wilkins stuffed Myles Gaskin on a run from the offense's 2-yard line. He's been practicing with the second team also. Just to let you guys know that the first team defense kept the offense out of the end zone on 3 running plays from the 2-yard line. And from what I've been hearing and reading and seeing and whatnot, this offensive line really struggled today. So, look, after I just told you again for like the 3rd time in this video, my top 3 concerns. After today, they have only amplified. It is only the first day of padded practice, so we'll see how things go from here. Next week, we have our practices against the Chicago Bears, and then our first preseason game. And so, that's going to be the first time that I get to put my eyes on this roster and on this team. So that's really, as I've been telling you guys, multiple times, that's what I'm really looking for. All this is just data, but see, that's the thing, right? And so as an example, when we get to the preseason, I'm going to be looking to see how that offensive line's doing. That's going to be my number one thing, is to watch that offensive line. And then I'm going to be watching that secondary to see if they're getting smoked, especially if Xavier Howard's not there. And if he doesn't play, we'll see how, the injury holdout goes and so on. But he's still on the sideline injured. So, and this was day 1 of padded practice. So, we'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how that goes. So all of those things are going to be things that I'm going to be hyper focused on. Obviously, I'm going to be watching everything. I'm going to be watching Tua to see how, he looks and how he's doing, and the run game and those wide receivers. It'll be, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this injury situation, right? And injury COVID. So anyway, let's continue on. Brissett threw a 2-yard touchdown pass to tight end Carson Meyer on a goal line drill. Jordan Scarlett scored on a 2-yard run after linebacker Calvin Munson met him at the 2-yard line. And longtime Patriots nose tackle Vince Wilfork, who played at the University of Miami and lives in South Florida, is a guest at practice. Okay. Cool, I guess. That's fun. I mean, it's cool. It's good for those guys to, obviously there's the Patriots connection there, so really not a surprise. But it's fun for those guys, right? It's fun for those guys to have, celebrity guests or whatever. I heard Dan Marino was out there today too. So, it's cool to have those guys. Obviously Dan Marino actually works with the organization. But yeah, man, so, it's cool, and it's definitely, some of those young guys on that defensive line can, pick his brain a little bit and, maybe learn something, right? So it's fun. It's cool. Otherwise, I don't really care much. But yeah. Anyway, so, I mean, that's really all I got, because like I said, I'm only able to really, I don't have access to Sun Sentinel and the Miami Herald. Hopefully, maybe in the not so distant future, I'll be able to change that, but, my finances are really tight, so we'll see. But, otherwise, I give you as much as I possibly can, and, there's plenty of, thankfully, there's really not much of a shortage of Dolphins YouTubers, so, there are options out there of, other guys like Doug and Reason who have, more connections and more access than me. So, it is what it is. I can't really do anything about it. And what I can do, I try. So I do my best, and hopefully I can, work something out in my finances so that way I can get a little more access. But yeah, anywho, with that, I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. See y'all soon. Phins up.